Going on a ride with family and friends is a good idea until one or two team members are injured or drop dead. If you don't wish this to happen to your family and friends, you can avoid these 10 amusement park rides listed here. Like and subscribe to this channel because you will not find this content anywhere else. Number 10, Thunder River Rapids Ride. Even rides with long track records of being safe can ruin their reputation at the twinkle of an eye. Most times lives are lost when things go wrong. This is what happened in October 2016 at Australia's Dream World, when 4 people died riding the Thunder River Rapid Ride. The ride has been running since 1986 after a freak occurrence. The tourists flipped over while on a conveyor belt. This left them trapped underwater and caught in the machinery. The ride closed despite having a track record of being one of the safest rides on the planet. Everybody that has ridden on this ride has unwittingly risked their lives. Even if they had survived, it was only a matter of time for things to get out of hand. There have been about 4 victims who didn't survive the accident. An inquest into the mishaps revealed that the management failed to ensure the safety of the staff and patrons. Number 9, Somerset, United Kingdom. It doesn't come as a surprise that the engineers in the UK decide to build a catapult that hurls a living human through the air. This isn't for any scientific experiment but fun. For a fee of 70, fun lovers are fired 75 feet through the air completely unsecured and without any form of protection into a freestanding net suspended above the ground. I know you're curious to know what could go wrong in a scenario like this. Well, in 2002 a 19-year-old Oxford undergraduate was killed after he was tossed through the air. He was so unfortunate that he missed the safety net. After the death of the teenager, the health and safety executive ordered a temporary closure of the park rides and 6 others in the UK. The machines were also re-inspected and some of them were banned from using. These drastic actions were necessary to reduce fatalities and victims in public places like this one. Number 8, Action Park Grave Pool. If you haven't taken records of all the dangerous park rides, you should note that this one, the tidal wave pool, is also known to locals as the grave pool for a unique reason. The massive tower was 100 feet by 250 feet long and had a maximum depth of 8 feet. It could hold as many as 1,000 people. The ride was so intense that it had up to 20 lifeguards on duty, always, while most lifeguards are expected to save 2 or 3 lives in a weekend. The grave pool would save around 30. Action Park closed in 1996 due to the notorious activities going on there. However, it was not the end of the road for the park. By 2010, Jean Mulvihill put together a committee to purchase the part from its owners to revamp it after he died in 2012. The park reopened under a new name. Despite the rebranding, tourists will have difficulty visiting the new location. Even the huge sum spent on advertising didn't yield many results. A deadly cloud still hangs over the park as people are scared for their lives. Number 7, Action Park Kayak Experience. The creators of the Cannonball Loop are out with another thrilling ride that gives guests a real-life whitewater kayaking experience, without the actual whitewater rapids. Unfortunately, their lofty plans didn't go as planned. A patron was electrocuted and died after he touched an exposed electrical wire while trying to gain control of his capsized kayak. One wonders what exposed electrical wires are doing in an amusement park water ride. It turns out that the easiest way to emulate the wild rapids of whitewater kayaking was to use giant electrical fans to stir up rapid currents. Aside from one patron who was electrocuted, several of his family members also suffered shock injuries and were hospitalized. The kayak experience was later drained and closed after the incident. When asked why it was shut down, one staff member said people would be intimidated by it. There is no guarantee that there wouldn't be more electrocution victims if the ride isn't closed. Number 6, Scats Dives. The Scat Dives aren't located in a single park but is one of the most insane experiences anyone could wish for. SCAD is short for a suspended catch air device. It involves taking a person and suspending them 150 feet in the air and dropping them without any tether while allowing them to fall into a suspended net 50 feet above the ground. The ride is notorious for mishaps like people being dropped without the net, catching them, some even dropping and missing the safety net completely. SCAD diving is an adrenaline-busting activity developed by thrill seekers. Europe claims to be the initiator of this idea, as it first began in Germany by a company called Mantec. Even though people consider it an extreme sports, experts think otherwise. They classify it as a controlled ride that's supposed to be safe and comfortable. This ride operates in about 18 countries including Japan, and, if you're in for some adrenaline rush, SCAD diving is your best bet. Number 5. Action Park Cannonball Loop. If you've ever visited New Jersey, you'll understand why the Action Park Cannonball Loop is one of the most talked about parks in the city. All the rides here are absurd, but the Cannonball Loop is one of the greatest embarrassments. It had an enclosed water slide but with a loop. Local lore has it that when people in charge of the park were testing out with dummies, several of them emerged dismembered and decapitated. The design was so inefficient that it was constructed with a hatch at the bottom of the loop, so that people who were stuck could get out safely. After it was opened in the summer of 1985, it was closed a month later. The Cannonball Loop was inspired by a cartoon. Since it had a full 360-degree loop, riders had a lot of momentum to help achieve the desired speed. Guests climbed to the top of the platform, where a ride attendant would hose him down with water. Riders and would then cross their arms and legs before launching down the dark tube. Even if you don't have claustrophobia, you will panic at the sight of the Cannonball Loop. Number 4. Son of the Beast. The Son of the Beast ride has taken up a near mythical status among roller coaster enthusiasts. After its closure in 2009, it is a sequel to King Island's legendary wooden coaster The Beast, which was the world's tallest and fastest wooden coaster and the only one with a loop. All that prestige and power came to a halt after several riders were hurt on the Son of a Beast, including 27 people in 2006. When the beam cracked during a ride, one woman even claimed that she suffered a burst blood vessel in her brain due to the bumpy coaster. In 2012, the authorities decided that the Son of the Beast closure would be permanent, so that it would be demolished, and the land used for another facility. A new coast was built on the land featuring a tall gravestone and a torch on top in honor of the Son of the Beast. Number 3. Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is one of the worst roller coaster disasters in history. It was the site of one of the most terrible accidents in the history of amusement parks in 1972. 5 children were killed on the Big Dipper when the machine malfunctioned and caused the train to roll backwards down a hill. This caused the train to derail. The ride has been in operation since 1951 and was arguably the most popular ride at Battersea Park. After the accident, the entire theme park was shut down, leading to the permanent closure of the Big Dipper. The park was closed to the public in 1940. After the disaster in 1945, an event was organized to raise funds to purchase the land and reopen the park. They succeeded in 1955. And the site is now known as Gallagher Park. It now has a baseball field and a swimming pool, but there is no roller coaster. Number 2. Mine Scrambler. This scrambler is a classic thrill ride that functions in countless parks worldwide. Of all the versions of the rides, the Mine Scrambler is one of the deadliest. It operated inside a dark tent at New York's Playland and killed 2 riders within 3 years in 2004. A child was killed after she slipped out of the ride's restraints in 2007. Another teenager was killed when she rode in the Mine Scrambler without being buckled in. She was thrown away from the ride and didn't survive the accident. After this accident, the ride was closed. Officials said that the Mine Scrambler passed a safety inspection at the beginning of the season but flopped in between 2 other rides owned by the same company and were also closed. Simultaneously, when it was reopened, there were fresh safety features. As the government pushed for safer parks, there were warning signs on the rides to guide the tourists. Number 1. Derby Racer. As you may expect, the earlier roller coasters manufactured many years ago are even more dangerous than the ones we see today. Thanks to the relaxed safety standards and poor technology, the Derby Racer is one of the most dangerous rides on the planet. The machine ran for 25 years and has recorded several injuries while it was in operation. Several people were killed, including a man who sued the operators for the lack of safety standards. The ride was taken to the Massachusetts Supreme Court and later declared that it be closed for good. The most dangerous roller coaster in American history is the first to begin operations. The Derby Racer resumed operations in 1911, and even though it operated for 25 years, there were fatalities within the first 6 years. The ride started on the wrong foot. In 1911, when the treasurer of the roller coaster stood up to lecture the passengers, he was fatally injured in an accident that forced local officials to revoke the ride's license despite the restraints on this park. Didn't stop the fatalities that occurred in the future. See you next time.